Are you ready to finish reading our nonfiction book about seeds and plants? Remember, we started this, it's written by Gail Gibbons, and so far we learned that you need seeds to grow into plants, that they contain the beginnings of new plants. We know they come in lots of different shapes and sizes, and that a seed will grow into the same kind of plant that it came from. We also learned a lot of sort of complicated information about what we need to make a seed. And we need the plant to be pollinated, which means that we need the pollen from one plant, from one flower rather, to get to the stigma of another flower that's the same kind of plant. And when that happens, and that can happen when a bee or a hummingbird come to drink the nectar and bring the pollen along with them on their bodies. When that happens, a tube goes down into the ovule and it begins to grow a seed. And even when the flower dies, the seed gets bigger and bigger, and it's contained in either a fruit or a pod. Then the seed needs to travel. Sometimes it just drops right where it is, right? Falls to the ground and grows from there. Other times, animals bring it further away. Sometimes it pops open. Sometimes it floats in water. Sometimes it blows in the wind. And sometimes other animals scatter them around. So that's where we were so far. So now we're going to learn a little bit more about how a seed grows into a plant. A flower bed or vegetable garden is beautiful. Seeds are planted to grow in the gardens. So up here is a picture of a flower garden. Down here is a picture of a vegetable garden. You'll notice that there's some markers or labels to remind the people who planted the garden what's growing there. And there's the vegetable garden on top there. The seeds come in small envelopes or boxes. Directions explain how to plant the seeds and care for the plants. So care is our first fancy word for today. And when you care for something, it means you do things for it to keep it safe, right? So your families take care of you. The beginnings of a plant is curled up inside each seed. Food is stored inside the seed too. The seed has a seed coat on the outside to protect it. So here's a diagram that is a picture with labels to teach us about it. So this is a seed that is under the soil or the earth, and this label says that this is the beginning of a plant. This big space here is labeled with food for the plant to grow. And then this outside, this gray part, this is the seed coat. This reminds me of something else that we learned about earlier this year. This reminds me of an egg. When we learned about eggs, when we learned about owls, we learned about how the insides of eggs have the yolk, and the yolk is to feed the baby bird while it grows inside the egg. That's much like the seed. This is sort of like the yolk, the food that is going to help the seed grow. And the seed coat is kind of like the shell of an egg. A seed will not sprout until certain things happen. First, it must be on or in the soil. Then it needs rain to soak the seed and soften its seed coat. So the rain will get the seed coat wet, and that will soften it so that the next part can happen. When the sun shines and warms the ground, the seed coat breaks open and the seed begins to grow. This is called germination. A root grows down into the soil. The root takes in water and minerals from the soil for food. So here's the root. It's the part that grows down. grows a shoot. So a shoot is the first part of the plant to grow up. Green leaves grow up from the shoot toward the sun. So here's the leaves. And that's shoot is one of our fancy words. And that word protect, which is what the seed coat does for the seed, that's another one of our fancy words. It's a bit like care, and it means you take care of it and you make sure it's safe and not hurt. So that's what the seed coat did for the beginnings of the plant inside the seed. The plant grows bigger and bigger. The leaves make food for the plant from the water and the minerals in the soil, the sunlight, and the air all around the plant. So the leaves do this fancy job and make food for the plant to grow, make energy for it to grow. They gather it from the sun and the soil and the water. Finally, the plant is full grown. Buds on the plant open into flowers where new seeds will grow. Now we're getting back to the flower. This reminds me of a fancy word we used when we were studying animals, which is a cycle, right? So remember the beginning of the book, we started with the flower. And we saw how the flower grew seeds and fruit and pods that broke open and spread. And here we are back to where it's a flower again. Many of the foods people eat are seeds, fruits, and pods. They are full of nutrition, vitamins, and the minerals, and they are tasty too. So nutrition means that you are getting food to be healthy and strong. So plants give us lots of vitamins and minerals that keep us healthy and strong. Now, here at the back of the book, Gail Gibbons gives us directions on how to grow seeds at home or at school. So this is a project that you may be trying out with your teachers, and I will post pictures of those directions as well. So, and the last page is lots of little facts about seeds and plants. So good readers think about the important information that we learn from a book, especially when it's an informational text or a nonfiction book that's full of real information. But it's hard to figure out all the little bits of information. Sometimes we just want to think about what the most big important ideas are in the book. So that's again what I want you to do now that we've finished reading the book. I want you to think about what are the big things that you need to remember about seeds and plants and how they grow. And also maybe what are some questions you still have that you might want to ask your teacher or your family or even your friends.